Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor, for those of you who may have never been here before, and in today's video we are talking about 10 traits from The Sims 3 that I wish were in The Sims 4. That is a hard concept for my brain to wrap around, but it's fine. I really see a lot of traits in The Sims 3 that I'm like, I wish those were in The Sims 4, but I also wish that Sims 4 traits were more impactful on our Sims. So it's like, these are things that I would love to see and the ways that I would like to see them implemented and little ways that they can impact my gameplay. A lot of these are really fun and I'm really excited to start talking about it, but before we do that, if you want to, you should make sure that you're subscribed to this channel. Maybe give it a thumbs up if you enjoy this video or enjoy any of my other videos. Just let me know. Let me know you're having fun. You can also find a link to my Twitch and my second channel in the description down below. I'm really trying to get that second channel monetized by the end of the year, so if you want to go subscribe, you can definitely do that. I would really appreciate it. And let's jump into the 10 traits from The Sims 3 that I wish were in The Sims 4. So the first one of these traits is kind of like a 2-for-1, where we get lucky and unlucky. Now these traits were in The Sims 3 and their description in that game said, lucky Sims are closely followed through life with a comforting sense of luck. They win often and they win big. Now, some ways that I would love to see this implemented in The Sims 4 is especially with The Sims 4 Seasons, where we get the option of your Sims playing the lottery. It'd be really interesting if these lucky Sims had a higher chance of winning the lottery and unlucky Sims had like no chance of winning the lottery. In addition to that, any of the career cards that you might get while you're like going through the game, maybe a lucky Sim will get more of those opportunities. You know, the ones where you can get more money. If you have Get Famous, there's a lot of ones for getting famous from random careers. Those would show up more for lucky Sims. That would be really interesting. Maybe these Sims get more rare collectibles as opposed to like the common ones. That would be interesting. And maybe they're more lucky when it comes to romance. They find the perfect partner. These people like them a lot easier and stuff like that. And then obviously unlucky Sims, you know, they're not going to get promoted as easily. They're not going to win the lottery. They're going to get common collectibles and they just don't have as much luck in those departments. And seeing those in the game would be a lot of fun. There are people out there that just seem to have a horseshoe stuck up their butt and they're very lucky. And I just want to see a Sim that's like that. And I think that could be really, really fun. The second trait on this list is technophobe. We can also have a technology lover trait as well. A lot of these have something that would be the opposite of them, which is kind of fun. So you could have double the amount of traits. I would love to see it. But a technophobe in The Sims 3 had a description that said, technophobe Sims hate television. They will never watch television except in dire circumstances. I have questions about that. And will always look for alternative sources of entertainment. I do need to know what dire circumstances would make a Sim or a human watch television. Like, what's going on in the world? Are we like in an apocalypse? Is there like a snowstorm outside? You didn't buy a new book? Like what's the vibe that's like a dire circumstance? I need to know. I need to know. Please let me know if you have any ideas. But these Sims would hate watching TV, hate using the computer. One thing that really bugs me in The Sims 4 is how often your Sims are standing there, or like random Sims are standing there and playing on their phones. And those kind of Sims who are a technophobe wouldn't do that. And then a Sim who's a technological lover, or whatever the opposite of technophobe would be, would sit there and be on their phone more often. I would love to see things like that impacted more. Or if a Sim with the technophobe trait comes over to your house, they're not going to go onto your computer. One of the biggest annoyances in The Sims 4 is that all Sims come into your house, Nancy Landgrab will come in and then go on the computer. Also, I don't know why in every video I mention Nancy, but I just don't like her. We figured that out, I think. But it'd be really interesting if these Sims don't go on your computer, or they don't want to watch TV with you, or they get bored while watching TV. There's so many ways that these traits could be implemented, and I would love to see it. The next trait definitely applies to me, and that is absent-minded. The description of this one from The Sims 3 says, absent-minded Sims get lost in their thoughts and occasionally forget what they're doing or where they're going. The amount of times that I'll be sitting here at my desk working and I'll get up and I'll go and I'll walk out there, walk past my kitchen and be like, why did I get up? I'll still be holding my water cup being like, I went to fill this and I won't remember what's going on. So this would feel very real to me and would be one of the traits I would give myself in The Sims 4. But for this, a lot of the times your Sims just cancel interactions because the game is a little bit broken, but that's fine. We love her. We love The Sims 4. She's just a little bit, yeah. So a lot of the times they cancel those autonomously without you wanting that to happen, but it would be funny if that was on purpose. So if your absent-minded Sims were like just getting rid of random things and like you were like, okay, I want you to go use the toilet, take a shower, and then go get dinner, and like they just skip the shower because they forgot that that's what they were doing. Like they go into the bathroom, they use the toilet, and then they're like, dinner, and then they leave. Like, that would be really funny to me. They'd be kind of annoying to deal with, but I would really enjoy it. And forgetting where they're going would just make me laugh if they just like looked up at the sky while they're walking to like get their mail and just start stargazing. I feel that a lot, to be honest with you, and I think that that would be a really, really good trait that a lot of us might relate to. The next one I would love to see is excitable. This one had a description in The Sims 3 that said, your sim will cheer for and be excited about doing basic things in life. Yay, woo. And this is funny to me because Sims, a lot of the game is doing basic things like showering, using the toilet, eating, homework, after work, like work assignments is what I'm trying to say. But these kind of things are a little bit boring and your Sims aren't having as much fun, but it'd be fun to have a Sim who's like getting their fun need up because they're doing something because they're just so excited about life and they're just so happy about life. And then maybe these Sims are a little easier to get along with because they're not as like gloomy as like a Bob Pancakes might be. And seeing them get excited about things might get other Sims excited about things. And maybe they have like sentiments that make other Sims excited because they're excited, like things like that. I don't know. This is a trait that would just be fun because it would be adorable to have a Sim that just goes like ee all the time. I don't know. That's one of those ones where I'm like, it would be cute. I want it. The next one is natural cook or like horrible cook, like the opposite of it, whatever you would want to call that. And in The Sims 3, this said natural cooks are able to kick any dish up a notch, making their food the most delicious to eat. They learn to cook more quickly than others and never burn down the kitchen in the process. And those last two parts are what I'm really interested in. But if you have a Sim who's going to go into the culinary career and you want them to be a chef, this would be the perfect trait. This is one of those things you could like maybe give them when they age up to a teen and then they start to learn how to cook when they're a teen and they're just so good at it. They're a natural cook and they never burn down the house, which is something I would love. I hate food fires in The Sims 4. They happen too often and I'm sick of it. But it'd be really fun to have this as an option so your Sims make better food, their food's more delicious, and then once they get to the point where they get the aspiration done and they get that trait where everything stays fresh forever and it's all like the highest quality because they're a natural cook, every Sim in their household is going to be happy forever. It's beautiful, and I would love to see this. But on the opposite side of that, I would love to see something where it's just a bad cook. You know, like not having the best time, maybe burns the house down a little more often, only makes poor or normal quality food, gets their skill up a lot slower. Those kind of things would be really fun for me in the game. The next one is brave, and I would also like to see a coward along with this. The description in The Sims 3 says, brave Sims are fearless individuals that will fight fires, wrangle burglars, and work to protect those around them. And some ways I would love to see something like this implemented is a brave Sim might go fight Vlad. You know, Vlad's coming in, gonna attack their spouse, and then they're just like, pew pew, die. That would be really funny to me. Fighting off Vlad from biting their family members, their siblings, maybe their parents, maybe their spouse. That would be pretty brave of you to fight off the master vampire. They could also fight all of the fires when the family members burn the house down, especially if they have a bad cook in their house. They also have things like dealing with other Sims who maybe are being mean or fighting with them. So like if this Sim's in the household and maybe like their brother is outside getting like yelled at by this person or getting into a fight and then the other Sim just like steps in, that would be really fun. I'm not really sure how that would be implemented. I would also love to see the firefighter active career come back and this one come back with it because that's where it actually came from in The Sims 3 and I would love that. I want to see my Sims just fight fire and just be cool. I would love to have a firefighter in The Sims 4. Especially because of the dance they do now. I like that. The next one is no sense of humor or like naturally funny, could be the opposite of this, but no sense of humor cracks me up a little bit more with a description of Sims with no sense of humor tell horrible jokes, so they tend not to tell them. They also don't enjoy the jokes of others. Humor is simply wasted on them. And I think it'd be really fun to put a Sim who has no sense of humor in the comedian career, like the entertainer comedian branch. I think that would be really funny just because they would be really bad at it. And maybe their work performance in that would go up a lot slower because they just can't handle it. Their comedy skill would go up slower. Any funny interactions they do with Sims would fail automatically. I think things like that would just be so funny. But then having a Sim who maybe has a really good sense of humor can do really well in the comedy career. They can do really well with the comedy skill and all of that kind of stuff. I want to see these things affect our Sims in different ways, and I think that this one could be really, really fun. The next one on this list is irresistible. Now this is a trait I would give to Don Lothario. So this has a description that says, irresistible Sims are quite charming. Although sometimes they may get more than they asked for. Dates will be easy to find and others will flock to socialize with them because they're just so irresistible. And I think giving this to a Sim like Don Lothario, who in past games was a little bit of a hoe, would be really fun, and having them go on lots of dates, or if you're doing 100 baby or some kind of like 100 boyfriend challenge, if that's something you're into, giving them the irresistible trait would be really fun. This is more just one I want for gameplay reasons. To have a bunch of Sims like flock to you to want to be your friend, to want to romance with you would be really helpful in 100 baby. And I think this would be a really fun one for people like Don Lothario or Daniel Pleasant who's cheating on his wife. It'd be a good time. The next one we have is the shy trait. This is honestly one I think that we should have in the game. Like, we already have outgoing, and I feel like the only opposite of that is like maybe loner, but that's not the same thing. We need something that is shy. And the description for this one said, shy Sims will never approach anyone that isn't a friend and tend to stick to their rooms if they are able. They are also uncomfortable around large crowds of people. And as someone who like admittedly has some like social anxiety and can't handle large groups of people, introvert, I would love this. I would do absent-minded and shy, and I don't even know what else as my traits from this list. I love them. But it'd be really fun to have Sims who are just like, you know, they stick to themselves. Maybe it's a bookworm who's shy and they love to read and they read in their room a lot. They don't really talk to their siblings that much because they're a little more shy, and maybe their siblings are super outgoing. They don't like going to events because they're shy. They don't like when people are at their house who they don't know because they're shy. Like, I think that shy is one of those ones that should be in the game for sure, because a lot of Sims aren't outgoing. A lot of people aren't outgoing. I guess Sims are whatever they want to be. But a lot of people aren't outgoing. They want to hang out by themselves. They only want to be around their close-knit group of people, and I think that that would be really cute. So the last thing on this list is Supernatural Skeptic, which is one I think is kind of funny, and the description of this one says, there's a world of magic and unexplainable wonders out there, and supernatural skeptics don't care for any of it. That stuff might be exciting for some, but supernatural skeptics prefer the security and comfort of normality. I think that this one would be really funny if you have packs like Realm of Magic, Island Living, you know, all the ones with the supernaturals, especially vampires, because if Vlad comes to your house and like tries to bite a supernatural skeptic, they might have like a funny interaction where they're like, you're not real, you don't exist, stop trying to bite me, and then Vlad just gets confused and leaves. Or like the ask if mermaid thing would be really funny, because they're like, you're not a mermaid, stop lying to me, prove it. What are you doing? Huh? You're not a mermaid? It would just make me laugh. So I think it'd be really fun to have one where it's like, you're lying to me, you're a liar, stop lying, you're a butthead. I think that that would bring me a lot of joy if there were skeptics. There could also be like a supernatural lover, like someone who gravitates towards people who are supernaturals and can maybe become friends with Vlad easier, because Vlad's kind of hard to romance. We've learned that recently. But it'd be really, really fun to do that as well. But there you have it. Those are 10, kind of more than 10 because of the ones that were like the opposite, but you know, 10 traits from The Sims 3 that I would love to see in The Sims 4. At EA, if you're watching this, make it happen, because it would bring me a lot of joy, and like, my joy is what matters most. But if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Are there any traits from The Sims 3 that you wish were in The Sims 4? Let me know in those comments down below. I really hope that you're having an amazing day, and I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.